Boy, do we have a special guest for you today here on A's Cast. The last time we had him was when he went in to the A's Hall of Fame, to have the great Mark McGwire back with us. How are you?
Very good, Chris. Thank you.
When I think about these times and I see you mingling around and your teammates, when I think of like Dave Stewart and Carney and Terry Steinbach, what's it like to be back?
Well, last night was really good. Tony had a little dinner and a couple players came down, Carney, Stu, Steiny, and we were just reminiscing about old stories, and it's amazing how Tony can just tell the story about the outs and the innings like 30 years ago and just rehash some playoff games and World Series games, and we all look at each other and go, do you remember? Like, we sort of remember things, but he just to the point. That's why he was the genius he was, and a great manager, Hall of Fame manager. So it's great to get along and sit down and talk to these guys, meet them through this, this little luncheon, and then today, bringing in a few other players, great pitchers too, which I was just telling the story. I was a 10-5 player in '97, and back in those days, you didn't know it was coming through the minor league system. In the A's, we weren't winning, sort of going down a little bit, and rumblings about the end of my contract and blah, blah, blah. And I think, hey, I said, maybe it's a time to make a move and just sort of change the scenery. Obviously the trade happened to St. Louis and all that other stuff happened years later, but if I would have known that Moeller, Zito, and Hudson were coming 2 or 3 years later, I might have told Sandy that, I'm going to stay around. Can I stay around a little bit longer? I know I'll be an old guy, but today, everybody in the big leagues knows about the young kids coming up. It's just with all the social media and the way they do things analytically, and everybody's on the same computer system. So that's just sort of a funny story to think that if I would have known about those, I probably would have thought twice and maybe stayed in Oakland.
Yeah, well, I mean, and when you think about, we're deciding to bury Zito, and you got to remind him, hey, you want a Cy Young, you want a World Series. I know you're into music now, but let's not forget how great you are. That's the thing about you guys. When you get together, you can remember that when you were playing ball, great you guys were and how great you were.
Well, thank you. You think about the baseball career is just such a short time in your life.
Yeah.
Real life is the rest of your life, and it's something that I try to talk to young kids today, because they think that this is going to last for the rest of your life, and actually today, the way the things are being moved in the game of baseball, the life expectancy of a baseball player is maybe 2.5 years. When I was playing, it was at least 5. So it's like when you think that way, you're like, okay, well, you get to a point where you might not be an everyday player. You're going up and down. It's like you got to start thinking about, what am I going to do for the rest of my life? Yeah. And that's a tough thing to think when you put everything in the basket and you just go, I'm going for it. I'm going to try to be one of the best players in the game, and it might not work out.
So we just had the anniversary of Cal Ripken's streak, and it made me think of you, because last time we talked, so many people to this day still come up and thank you for saving baseball. What you and Sammy Sosa did. So I think Cal kind of got it going, and then you guys came in and did what you did. I mean, that's pretty heavy stuff to think that you basically helped save a sport.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. And to think that most of the men and women that come and say that, they were all at that young age, They were all at 10 to 15 to 20, maybe in college. And now when I go meet them, they look a lot older, and when they come
this guy.
and when they come say it, it sort of hits me, because I'm going to be 62 the 1st of October. And it's just sort of weird to think that 62, and then all of a sudden I go back all the way to '98 season. That's quite a few years ago, and to think about people still remember that day, it's pretty awesome.
So one of the coolest things we've heard lately was when Jack Perkins was telling us he got called up from the Aviators.
Right.
And of course, Fran Reardon, who is great manager for the Aviators, always tells about how special that story is to tell a guy he's going to the big leagues.
Yes.
And Mark McGwire was in the room. And we went, wait a minute, what?
I know.
How cool is it? Can you imagine getting called up and Mark McGwire's in the room?
Yeah, Fran was awesome. He goes, hey, I'd like you to be in the room, and we're going to tell him that he's going to go up to the big leagues. And the story goes is that, hey, you got something really in common with Mark McGwire. Jack's looking like, what do I have in common with Mark McGwire? He goes, you're going to be in Oakland A. And it's just like, it was one of those things that I was so happy to be there, not knowing how these things work. And then I saw that he talked about that story when he got called up to Sacramento and pitching. And he's a stud, man. He's a workhorse. So
floored me, because like it's all of a sudden you're expecting this story with Fran, and then, oh yeah, Mark McGwire was in the room. It's like, wait a minute, what?
Yeah, and they're
Mark
like,
McGwire
going, what's Mark McGwire doing in there?
So kind of tell us, because I think about your journey as a hitting coach, so much success doing that. You know, one thing we always like to talk about is the Gold Glove that you won, so you can bring the defensive side, because everybody just talks about the home runs. I know the Gold Glove is something that you're so proud of. Just where are you with the game, with our organization?
Well,
What's going on?
I'm right now working with the athletics, so I'm a consultant. Ed Sprague hired me this spring training. Dave Stewart called me up and asked me to come down to spring training to just sit in the dugout with him and Carney, do the prospect games. You know, they're doing these prospect games. Top prospects play another team, another affiliate, and so 2 days turned into 5 days. You know, so the next day Ed said, "Hey, would you like to talk to all the minor league hitters?" And I'm like, "Well, I've never talked about hitting in front of like 50 or 60, 70 players." And then the following day they said, "Would you like to talk to all the minor league pitchers?" And so I'm talking to the minor league pitchers, and then the following day Ed says, "Hey, would you like to be a consultant and to go around through the minor leagues?" And next thing you know, my whole summer's been out through the minor league system, going to the affiliates. I have so much respect for the hitting coaches, and it's probably the toughest job, if not the toughest job in sports today, to be a hitting coach. The kids are dealing with their own gurus and their fathers and whatever, and then you're trying to pass on a message. And so what I do is I go there, I spend 5 to 6 days in the affiliate, I dress out, I watch their works, what they do in the cage. I go in the dugout. If they choose to come talk to me, I'm just sort of overseeing things. My mind is taking these photoshops of what they're doing. I watch. It's so different today. Kids are raised up in a cage. They're not raised up playing a lot. They're more cage hitters. And so when you see somebody, especially young kids, you see them in the cage, you have to see them for at least a week or two to see how that portrays into a game. There's a lot of really great cage hitters, and they go out into a game, and it's just a different animal. So I start putting those together, and then I go back, I look at all the video, I put things together, I write my reports, I send it into Ed Sprague, and he takes it and does whatever. I usually, the last day that I'm there, I'll meet with the hitting coaches after the last game, and I'll go over with all my notes that I see, what I think these young kids need to start working on. The way I look at it, you know, I love dissecting the swing. I know what's going to work in the big leagues. These young kids think they know what they work in the big leagues. I had 175 home runs and I got my ass kicked and I had to change things in the big leagues. My whole objective is to have them understand that the changes really need to be made down in the minor leagues. You don't want to be that player that gets called up for 5 days and be sent down, or 2 weeks and be sent down. You want to be that player that gets called up that's going to stay there. So what is hitting? Hitting's all about timing. How's your timing? To me, that's the biggest concern. When are you going to start? When are you going to get locked and loaded? And when are you going to be able to recognize those pitches and to spin on the pitches that you shouldn't be hitting at? And it's a task that I try to pass on. And these young kids today, some are receptive, some aren't. But no matter what happens, it's just information. I don't expect it to get it all the time, but I just love doing what I'm doing.
You know, I think about hitting coaches, pitching coaches. We talk so much about the physical side, but as we know, this game is so much about the mental side. It's almost like you guys have to be, not only you have to be about the mechanics, but the psychology of how to deal with these, failure, deal with these kids.
When you're hitting, it's all about feeling. And feeling, you better ingrain it in the cage and understand it. I talk about when you practice your swing, close your eyes. Because when you close your eyes, your mind is creating the feeling of the ground force coming up and through your body. When you're in the box playing a game, guys throwing 97 to 100 with 90 cutters and splitters and whatever it may be, you can't sit there and your mind can't be thinking about where your body's going to be. Your mind has to just go. Your eyes see the ball, your mind processes what the ball is going to do and tells your body where to go. And so if you don't have that kind of feeling, you can't sit there and think about where's my hands, where's my feet. You're done. You're done. I don't care who you are, you're done. So the thing is, it's a difficult thing. You're going to have to make adjustments, but the biggest thing is creating your feeling and understanding the ground force is your friend.
That's what I learned in golf, and we talk about Nick Kurtz all the time. They go, look how strong he is. I'm like, the way he uses the ground for his leverage, that's why he's got so much power.
Tell me what sport doesn't use the ground?
They all do.
If you
Hockey, you're even digging into the ice.
If you don't use the ground, you're not. The ground is your friend. That's the force of energy. Strength is built from the ground up. If you're on skates and you're not using it, you're going to be very inconsistent.
You have so much to give the game. I'm so happy you're back because you have so much to give.
Well, that's what we are here for, to pass on knowledge. And I tell the story all the time. It's like, I got my ass kicked. 1991, I got my ass kicked in the big leagues. I was going to the ballpark every year, or every week, every day, wondering if Tony was going to send me out. They never did. And I thank him for that. But I had to make changes. With 175 home runs in the big leagues, I'm telling you, you're going to have to make changes. And the big thing is the understanding the minor league players start making changes now. Be open to it. Not think that, listen, all us hitting coaches, or at least played the game, we're all speaking the same language. We just say it in different ways. And no matter if I'm passing you on or the other hitting coach is passing you on, one word, one saying might click and light bulb went off. That's what happened to me in 91.
Well, I'll tell you what, I could do this all day, but I know we're going to have brunch, and you got to be with let's do this again. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. It is an honor
I love
to
talking
have you.
baseball.
Honor to have it. Great to have you in the organization.
Thank you.
And of course, one of the great A's of all time, the great Mark McGwire.
Thank you very much.